Hey everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to my physical world. If you've been in a cave the past week, you should know that a glacial collapse happened in Switzerland and covered the town of Blatten. And I'm not going to go through everything because a lot of YouTube channels and news reports have been talking about it. It hasn't been covered on at least here in the United States on national news on every network, which is kind of sad. But and I think that is because the number of casualties was probably so low that it didn't draw people, which is really sick because there was at least missing at the moment one individual in that catastrophe. But we also have to remember this small village was home to 300 and some people that have lost everything in the matter of a few seconds. Okay, but I'm just going to give an overview of the events that happened. Like I said, there's a lot of other YouTubers that are doing it. But I'm going to talk about what is coming up next. All right. So here we are in Google Earth. Blatten is right here. The glacier was up in these mountains right up above because this is a valley. I mean, if we kind of zoom out here, we have mountains on the other. This is all glacier made area. A lot of hanging valleys and things like that. But the glacier that broke was in this area here and slid down the mountain. Okay, and I'm gonna just really briefly describe basically what happened was that now they had 10 days pretty much advance notice that something catastrophic was going to happen, and it just so happened that the worst case scenario happened. All right, but the authorities evacuated the village with plenty of time, luckily, because it could have happened sooner. But really what happened was that the top of the mountain started breaking apart, and all of that rock and rubble and things started cascading down the mountain. But there was the tongue of a glacier sitting at a certain elevation, and that tongue was where most of that rock and rubble was hitting, okay, or landing. All right, and then over the period of a week, the weight on the tongue was getting too heavy for the ice to actually keep it in place. All right. And basically, what that caused was that weight on top of that glacial tongue, it couldn't take it anymore, and it broke loose, and pretty much the entire tongue came down the mountain. Okay, and you guys have probably seen, and I'm not going to play it, but you guys have probably seen the dramatic footage of that landslide, or whatever you want to call it, landslide, glacial slide, glacial collapse, whatever, coming down the mountain. Very dramatic, very terrifying for anybody that was in the area. Okay, so put together a few graphics that I put together a while back, last week or so. Well, we're going to come back to those here soon. But so the glacier is way up on top of this ridge over here. And you're looking up the valley that has the Lanza River that runs through it, and we're going to talk about that also. So you're kind of looking to the northeast up the valley, okay? And so this ridge to the right, would be on the southeast side of the valley, and then this ridge over here is on the northwest side. So we're looking up this valley here. All right. Now, what happened when it collapsed? All of the rocks and soil and ice and water and everything cascaded down this mountain. And I would say, look at that video and you'll kind of get an idea. But now we're looking at the side view. And if you look in the valley, this right here is the debris cone. This is basically what was up on the mountain is now down in the valley, and it's spread out. But as it came down, and they estimated it came down the mountain about 77 miles an hour. So pretty quick. This was pretty much over in the matter of minutes. All right. But as it came down, a lot of the material actually rode up the other side of the valley wall, almost up 900 feet onto the other side. But then it all settled in. And in some cases, the estimates of the thickness of the debris, you're going to get anything from 20 meters or 5 meters further down, but kind of in the middle, you're going to get estimates anywhere between 25 meters and 100 meters thick. All right. And if we look at this graphic that I put, where this line represents about the 860 meter elevation above the valley floor, kind of shows you how high, if you look at the debris, how high it went up the other side. Okay, but if we look down here, now this is sitting on top of the valley. It's sitting on the northwest wall of the valley. Okay, so it's probably not this thick. I mean, this is a tree line here, but we're kind of getting a perspective view from it. But this area here, this is valley down here, the valley floor down here. So I would say an estimate of probably 50 to 75 meters would probably be more accurate, but that's pretty darn thick anyway. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So if we look at some of the other natural damage, all of this was forested just like this right here with the trees on either side. And up here, that's actually the break point right up here was where this mountain was falling apart. This ridge top was collapsing, and the actual tongue of the glacier, this is part of it right up here, but the lower part lobe where it was actually hanging over a rock face, okay, that's what took the brunt of the weight of this part of the mountain coming down. And then that caused this entire tongue to come down this ridge valley. All right. But it completely stripped all of the forest, okay, on its way down. And then this is another angle. Here's where the collapse pass was coming down. The hanging glacier was actually further up this view, okay? And then this right here is the photo that you just saw where the debris just stripped these mature pines down to nothing. And then this is the valley floor, and then this is how it went up the other side. Now, This cone, this debris cone, obviously blocked the Landsat River. And here is the Landsat River right here, and created a natural dam. And so all the water is starting to back up behind that. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up some GIS software. And for you, all those people that are in GIS, I just thought I would, I primarily work in ArcGIS Pro, but I thought I would give QGIS a chance on this one. What you are seeing on the screen now, this is a Landsat image of the area. North being straight up, and so this valley is going to the northeast, and here is the glaciers that you saw in the background of that valley picture. All right, and this is the area of interest right here. This Landsat image, why the colors look so goofy? Well, when I'm doing a lot of analysis, I use certain bands for certain band combinations, because there are 7 bands on Landsat 8. Well, there's more than that, but the bands that we're going to talk about, from band 1 does aerosols, okay, in the air. Band 2 through 4 is your visible light range, and then 5, 6, and 7 are your infrared bands. Okay, and what I do is, normally when I do this kind of analysis, is I will combine band 7, 5, and 2. So I'll map band 7, which is infrared. I will map it to the visible light range of red, and then green I will map to band 5, which is another near infrared band, and then I will map the am I using 2 or 3? I think I'm using 2. I am using band 2. Okay, so I mapped band 2, which is the visible green band on the blue channel, okay, for the red, green, and blue. So we have bands 7, 5, and 2 combination that gives you this look. Now, in this look, let me explain this real quick, is that vegetation, such as trees and grasses and things, they're going to show up in their native green, okay? So it's pretty much makes sense. You see green, you're going to see vegetation. Bare soil will show up in this band combination, will show up in oranges and browns. And ice and snow shows up in this this light blue, this cerulean blue or sky blue. Okay, so anywhere that you see the shades of light blue, that is snow and ice. Okay, so we're looking, this particular image from Landsat 9 was acquired on May 13th, 15 days before the collapse. And so this kind of shows you what the valley looked like at this time. And these white puffy things, those are clouds, obviously. Okay, so we got some clouds on some of these ridges. Okay, but it was relatively a clear day in this particular image. But we're seeing the Landsat River cutting down the valley here, and actually going down the valley in this direction. Okay, and Gamble is down here around the corner. That ties into another river. Okay, if I zoom out, you can kind of see, here's the other river down here, and then this is Gamble down here, and so the Landsat River feeds into this river right here. Okay, now as for Blatten sits, I got to get my, okay, this is Blatten right here. This little piece right here, but the village follows the river, so it's kind of long and skinny. It's not like a big spread out town because you're in a valley. And Wheeler, the village of Wheeler is down here. So this is the geographic area. So this right here is Blatten. Now, the next view, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the Landsat 9 image that was acquired on May 29th, the day after the event happened. So we'll turn that on. And you see a lot changes in the view. Okay, now we have some cloud cover that's obscuring the top of the ridge from where the collapse actually started. But you can see the dark shadow. The shadows caused actually by the mountain ridges, but there is still evidence of a scar from the collapse. Okay, but the actual starting of the event was actually it's underneath this cloud. All right, but in this view, you notice that the oranges and the browns show up a lot better because now we have clear skies on this ridge, whereas before we had cloud covered. Okay, but now we can see the bare earth. All right, it's above the timberline, so we're seeing the rock and the bare earth. All right, but here's what you need to notice right here. This is the debris cone right here. Okay, and remember, it came down and then went up the other side to almost 900 feet onto the other side in elevation. Okay, so it went down and then rode up the other side, and before it started to slide back down. So then you had two landslides after this was happening. Now, Landsat image is 30 meter resolution. It's not high resolution. It's made for doing regional aerial studies, not pinpointing. There are other satellite companies out there that do the high res imagery, but Landsat, which is the world's longest continuous observation of the planet from a satellite. The Landsat program started in '72. All right, so it's been continuous ever since, and it repeats. Each satellite repeats the same location every 16 days. Now, using Landsat 8 and 9, which are working in tandem, 8 is on the opposite side of the globe at any one point where 9 is. And so they will repeat over the same area every 8 days working in tandem. But 8 days ago, it was cloudy, okay, in this particular reason. That's why we had to go back to May 13th to get the valley. All right, so here is the debris cone. And you notice that it came down and then started sliding down the valley to the southwest as well, but it eventually stopped. The big concern now is what's going to happen. Pretty much Blatten is gone. Okay, it's under tens of meters of debris. I'm just thankful that they had advance warning and they got everybody out of town other than the one person that's missing. But now they're contending with the second level of the disaster, and that is water. Okay, if you'll notice, this was 24 hours after the event, and you can see this black spot right here. This is the backup flood from the Lanza River, because this debris completely blocked off the river. Okay, so it gone dry downstream. They even emptied a reservoir further down in order to catch any of this water that ends up breaking through or coming through. They'll be able to hopefully catch a lot of that depending on the speed in which it comes down the valley. But this black dot, this black spot right here, is the backing up of the Lanza River at the debris cone. And this is getting bigger. However, it filled up really fast that first 24 hours, and they estimate somewhere around 1 million cubic feet of water was built up behind the debris. And then the next day after that, the water was down to about 800,000 cubic feet of water. So the water, it's not filling up all the way back up the valley, but there's a certain point that this flood has now destroyed the rest of the village of Blatten. That didn't get hit by the avalanche is now underwater. But the height of the debris cone will dictate how far back this water will back up. And it's at the point now, and that's going to be these next few photos that I show you, is what's happening now. Okay, so let's bring in this. All right, and I got to figure out which way I'm going to go here. Okay, so I showed you this. So this is where it started pooling 24 hours. This is where it was 24 hours after the event. You're seeing some water on the debris cone itself. Well, most of this water at this particular time, okay, at the time that this image was taken, most of the water that's on top of the debris here is water that's coming down from the glacier to begin with. Okay, so this pooling of water right here and coming down like this part of the water, this is all coming from up on top of the ridge. Okay, it's not a breakthrough flood caused by this dam right here, this natural dam that was created. Okay, now we're going to go to the next images. Whoops, let's go in the wrong way, sorry. So this picture was taken, I believe, yesterday, and I can't remember the name of the, this might have been from the Swiss government doing a flyover. Now we're seeing more water accumulate on top of this debris cone. Now these lateral streams right here, all these coming laterally in to the middle, these are coming from up above the ridge. This right here, this main part coming down the middle, is now it's both water from the dammed up water is now reaching levels where it can actually start to flow over the debris cone. Plus you're getting the water that's coming down from the ridge itself. Remember, we're approaching summer, and so a lot of this snow and ice is melting anyway. And I'm not talking about climate change. I'm talking about an annual event, annual snow melt. Okay, it's all coming down the ridge and it's coming into the Lanza River. This next picture is from straight above it, and these are screenshots from a video, and you can kind of tell the turbulence in the water. This water is flowing, okay? And so it's starting to eat away. It's starting to erode that very soft material that came down from the mountain, okay? This is going to erode extremely fast, okay? Because it's not compact. It is compacted just because of the force of gravity, but it's not compacted like concrete because there is ice mixed in with all of this rock and soil, okay? And that ice is keeping it from compacting even further. As the ice underneath all this debris flows, melts, then all of this ground is just going to start to collapse in certain areas. But the water is now moving across the debris cone enough that it is starting to erode away the original river channel. Is basically what it's doing. The goal of a river is to become a straight line, right? Okay, so that water is going to come cascading down, and it's going to take a lot of that soil and smaller rocks to begin with, and it's going to take it downstream. It's going to move it off of the debris cone, and it's going to go into the original Lanza River that's downstream, and it will cause problems further downstream. Looking at another one, the natural dam is just below where this photo starts. It's like down here is where the end of the debris cone is, and where the flood waters have begun. But this pool right here is actually attached to the flooded area. So the flooded area is now encroaching on top of the debris cone, and it is basically carving its way through and eroding all of this debris away. Now, what's going to continue to be dangerous in this situation is, remember, this debris cone is not like concrete right now. It's relatively loose for what it is, okay? It's compacted because it's heavy and it came down fast, but it's not like Mother Earth ground, okay? It's not tightly compacted to its fullest, okay? And so this rushing water running through this debris cone is going to create smaller landslides as it meanders through and starts carving its way through the debris cone. So there's going to be, they cannot go in there and do anything, okay? They cannot get earth movers in there or anything like that. It's too unstable. But this is going to continue on for months, if not years. It's going to continue to carve its way through all of this debris. And so it's not going to be safe for, I can't even guess. Okay, I can't even guess. But anyway, volatile situation still. Okay, so this is part of the previous. Okay, this right here and this right here is now this and this. Now we're looking at it at a different angle. So this is the flooding that took place 24 hours after, but yet it has filled high enough that now it is encroaching and working it and eating its way through the debris cone. Now this is the surface water. Now a lot of this water is going to go underneath the debris cone, which is going to make it even more unstable, because the water that infiltrates into the debris, not over the top, but underneath it, any ice that is underneath that debris is going to come in contact with that water, and that water is going to start to erode that ice and melt that ice, and it could speed up the process of erosion, which is the dangerous thing for the people downstream, because eventually that force of that water that's inside this debris cone, pardon me, is going to have to be released. If it releases very fast, it will create a breakout flood, and that breakout flood will come out quick, and it's kind of like a water explosion. You know, it builds up pressure behind the dam, and then as soon as it gets pretty weak, it's when the force is greater than what's holding it back, it's just going to burst through. And that is the worst case scenario, because that's going to bring that deluge of water down the valley into the other villages such as Weiler. And hopefully the worst case is the dam that they release the water out of the reservoir. The worst case is that dam is not going to be able to hold that, and it could break the dam as well. So we're hoping that it's going to happen slowly over time, that this gets released on the other side of the debris cone. So those are some of the things that I've been looking at the past few days. I hope that you found this useful information. These landslides in the Alps are going to be more common. The Earth is warming. I'm not going to get into global warming. I'm talking about the Earth's normal cycle. The Earth is coming out of an ice age, so the Earth is naturally warming. Okay, so yes, someday there's not going to be any glaciers, because it's happened before and it's going to happen again. All right, so I'm not global. The atmosphere in this planet is so dynamic and so complex that one source cannot be pinpointed. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just impossible. It's too complex. But yes, the Earth is warming. We're coming at it. The Ice Age 10, 12,000 years ago, we're still coming out of that. So eventually the Earth will not have glaciers on it. Okay? Because we're going to get into, the Earth is going to be in a warm time where it's going to be warm all around the globe. Okay? And then that's going to start to reverse itself again, and there will be another ice age. All right? There is a natural cycle. Okay? But landslides like this are going to happen more often, because a lot of the glaciers are melting off and things like that. So, yeah. Now, I know a lot of you are going to disagree on climate change. That's okay. That doesn't bother me at all. That's what we're here to do. We're here to peacefully discuss these things. But when we talk about naturally occurring heating, that's what's going on in the world right now. Anyway, whether you have human-induced climate change. There truly is localized climate change, such as your big cities being heat islands. Okay, that is human-induced warming. All right, I fully believe in localized climate change, but when we're talking about these kind of events, you cannot 100% say that this is human-induced warming that caused this event. All right, because the Earth will warm up where there will not be any glaciers on the planet, and sea levels will rise, because they did it before. Okay, there's evidence of that all over the globe. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about that, but I ended up getting into it. So but this was a dramatic event, horrifying, tragic for the people that lost their property, and possibly the person that's missing's family lost that person. But that was the Blatten event, and too many things came together all at the same time for this event. And it happened in modern times where we can measure it and learn from it. And so I hope this was informative to you. And I hope that you subscribe to My Physical World. I got all types of science videos, flight simulator videos, and oil painting videos, all types of stuff. Please consider subscribing, share this video, hit that notification bell, like it, comment. Comments are the biggest thing for the algorithm. But I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you guys on the next video. See you later.